Before entering the story, please subscribe to the channel, like and share to help me. Thank you. The brain that built fire, born in blood, built for battle. You weren't born with a manual. But deep inside your skull, there's a command center forged in blood, fire, and fear. Before you ever scrolled through a screen, before electricity, before history itself, your brain was fighting for survival in a world that wanted to kill it. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that if you don't hunt, you don't eat. If you don't move, you die. If you let your guard down, even for a second, you're gone, eaten, crushed, erased from existence. That's the world your ancestors knew. Every single breath was a test. Every sunrise could be their last. They didn't have therapy, alarms, or a second chance. They had instinct, and their brains were their most lethal weapon. The caveman brain was honed over hundreds of thousands of years of raw experience. It didn't evolve in an office. It evolved in the wild, where silence wasn't peace, it was danger. Where the crack of a twig could mean predator or prey. Where the difference between freezing or surviving was your ability to build a fire, fast, and make no mistake. Fire wasn't just warmth, it was domination. It gave light in the dark, protection from predators. It cooked food, allowing the brain to grow larger, sharper, faster. When early humans tamed fire, they didn't just light a flame, they sparked a mental revolution. Their brains adapted, evolving to memorize trails, track prey, communicate with tribes, and sense danger in the subtle shift of wind or sound. Every problem was life or death, and every solution was a mental masterpiece. And it lives inside you. But here's the tragedy. This is the brain that built fire. You inherited the instincts. You just forgot how to use them. Then dread. Your brain is still wearing a mammoth skin. You walk into a coffee shop. Your heart races. Not because you're being hunted, but because someone looked at you a little too long. Dopamine hits. Death. You open your phone. A flood of notifications. You feel anxious, uncertain, overstimulated. But why? Because your brain is still running prehistoric software. It doesn't know you're in a world of concrete and Wi-Fi. It thinks you're still in the jungle, surrounded by threats, starving. The modern world may look advanced, but your brain still thinks like it's hunting mammoths and dodging saber-tooths. When someone ignores your message, your brain interprets it like tribal rejection, which, to an ancient human, meant exile. That's why it stings so deep. That's why social media ruins your mood. Your brain still fears being cast out of the tribe. When you scroll endlessly, binge, avoid, procrastinate, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain is still trying to conserve energy for survival. Back then, wasting energy meant dying, misused. So your mind developed reward systems that begged you to stay still until you had to move. That's why urgency and panic are more motivating than logic. You were wired to act when cornered, not when comfortable. Even your fear isn't modern. It's ancient. That gut feeling, the tight chest, it's the same chemical cocktail Caveman felt before charging into a lion's den. Your brain is miraculous, but it doesn't understand the world you live in. It's been repurposed. And every time you ignore that, it works against you, because the caveman brain wasn't built for Instagram. It was built for survival, and in a strange, ironic twist, that survival brain is killing your modern potential. The ancient warrior in your head beneath your routines, your stress, your overthinking. There's a warrior, a version of you that doesn't scroll, doubt, or hesitate. He doesn't care about what ifs, he acts. That version of you, the primal one, is still alive, buried under deadlines, algorithms, and broken attention spans, but still there. The caveman didn't waste time wondering if he was good enough. He didn't have luxury to second guess his instincts. When the rustle in the tall grass came, he either fought or fled. When the hunt was on, his senses sharpened, his breath slowed, his focus locked in. No distractions, no debating, no delay. That's the mindset we've lost, and the price is steep. The modern brain is busy, but unfocused. It absorbs information, but lacks wisdom. It's connected, but numb. And while we've advanced in knowledge, we've regressed in instinct. You don't need to be a hunter to reconnect with that edge. You just need to remember that your brain is already equipped. Your body knows how to enter flow. Your mind knows how to cut through noise, but only when you stop pacifying it. Every time you avoid the hard thing, you silence that primal intelligence. Every time you delay action, you dull your edge. But when you choose discomfort, when you embrace chaos, when you move forward without certainty, you reactivate the ancient power inside you. This is the brain that built fire, not because it was safe, but because it had no choice. And neither do you, if you want to live fully awake in this modern world. So the question is not, can you compete with your ancestors? The question is, are you willing to wake them up inside you? Drowning in dopamine, starving for purpose, your ancestors had one mission. Every day, survive. Hunt, gather, protect, repeat. Their world was brutal, but simple. Your world, it's the opposite. It's soft and chaotic. You don't fight lions anymore. You fight Wi-Fi signals, endless emails, 100 apps screaming for your attention. And the enemy isn't outside. It's inside your own skull. Your brain, the same one that helped early humans dominate the food chain, is now being hijacked. Every ping, every scroll, every video, every ad, it's hacking your reward system, flooding your circuits with dopamine. And here's the catch. The more you stimulate it, the less it responds. That's why nothing feels exciting anymore. That's why you open your phone 80 times a day and still feel empty. That's why rest doesn't feel restful. We are drowning in stimulation, but starving for meaning. You see, the caveman brain was built for scarcity of food, warmth, and pleasure. So when it did get a reward, a kill, a fire, a safe night's sleep, it meant something. The dopamine hit came after pain, after effort. Today you get dopamine for opening TikTok, for eating a cookie, for buying something online. No effort, no hunt, just instant reward, over and over. And the more you get, the more numb you become, until one day, the things that used to bring you joy don't. The people who mattered feel distant, and you start to wonder, why does everything feel so dull? It is because your brain was built for survival, but it is being smothered by abundance. Alert but asleep, the illusion of productivity. You wake up, check your notifications, jump into messages, open your laptop, reply, react, respond. By 10 a.m., your brain has already run a marathon, but you've done nothing that actually matters. You're clicking, you're typing, you're moving, but you're not thinking, you're not creating, you're not leading your life, you're just reacting to it. This is the tragedy of the modern brain. It's always alert, but rarely awake. Every app, every tab, every alert is designed to keep you busy, not to make you better. You feel productive because your brain is lighting up, but what it's really doing is burning out. Compare that to the caveman. He didn't multitask. He wasn't half present in 100 places. When he hunted, he hunted. When he built shelter, that was his entire world. And that level of presence, of single task, fully engaged action, was what allowed his brain to strengthen, to build memory, to develop intuition, to solve problems in real time. Modern humans, we're doing 10 things at once and mastering none. We're overwhelmed, overstimulated, and underdeveloped. And it's not your fault. The world is rigged this way. The systems around you were built to distract you, not discipline you, to extract your attention, not help you harness it. You were born with the same wiring as your ancient ancestors, but now you're surrounded by noise, lights, alerts, and lives minus 24/7s. And your brain, that ancient masterpiece, can't keep up unless you train it, unless you interrupt the pattern. Because being busy is not a badge of honor, it's a symptom of a brain that's lost its focus, its purpose, and its edge. Chaos feeds weakness, silence builds strength. There's a reason you avoid silence. It's not because it's boring, it's because it's confronting. In silence, you hear your thoughts. In stillness, you meet your fears. And in today's world, most people would rather be distracted than disciplined. But silence was sacred to your ancestors. It wasn't just peace, it was power. In the quiet, they observed, they tracked, they waited. They listened to the world, to the wind, to the movement of prey, to the whispers of intuition. They weren't overstimulated, they were attuned. That's why ancient humans could sense danger seconds before it struck. Why they could navigate by the stars, remember trails, and hunt for hours with relentless focus. They weren't superhuman, they were undistracted. Now, think about yourself. How often are you truly still, not checking, not scrolling, not filling the space with music, podcasts, or noise? Because in that stillness, that's where strength returns. Your brain needs quiet like your body needs sleep. But in the modern world, silence feels like starvation. So you fill every gap, and in doing so, you never let your brain breathe. And here's the danger. When the brain is overstimulated, it stops adapting, it stops learning. It reacts, but it doesn't reflect. It moves fast, but forgets why. And slowly, without realizing it, you become mentally soft, emotionally scattered, spiritually exhausted. But when you remove the noise, when you reclaim your attention, when you sit in the discomfort of silence, you reawaken the ancient clarity inside you. The clarity that built tools, that built tribes, that hunted giants and shaped empires. The world won't give you silence. You have to take it back, because when your brain is overstimulated, you're just surviving. But when it's centered, you start to lead. The trap you thought was a throne look around you. You've got air conditioning, running water, food delivery, and a soft bed. Everything your ancestors fought for, you now enjoy without lifting a finger. And yet, somehow, you're still restless, still anxious, still unsatisfied. Why? Because comfort was never meant to be constant. It was meant to be a reward, a pause, a momentary breath before the next battle. But somewhere along the way, comfort became the goal. And that's when everything started to fall apart. Your ancestors didn't wake up expecting ease. They expected pain. They needed adversity, and they grew through it, physically, mentally, emotionally. They walked for miles barefoot. They built fires with numb hands. They endured storms, wild animals, and hunger, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. And what did that necessity do? It carved strength. It sharpened focus. It forged resilience that modern life no longer requires. You, on the other hand, don't have to fight for survival. You fight for motivation. You fight to get out of bed, to go to the gym, to do the hard things your ancestors would have done without question. And the reason? Because comfort kills urgency. You're not being tested, so your muscles decay. You're not under pressure, so your instincts dull. You're not chasing something real, so your spirit drifts. You think you've escaped the battlefield, but the truth is, you're still in one. Only now, the enemy is invisible. It whispers, not roars. It tempts, not attacks. And its name is comfort. Soft world, soft mind. You've heard the saying, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. We are in the good times phase. Everything is automated, accessible, and easy, and it's making people soft. You don't need to learn patience. Your food arrives in 15 minutes. You don't need to learn discipline. Dopamine is always one scroll away. You don't need real courage. You can hide behind screens, filters, and fake personas. The modern world removed the sharp edges, but those edges were what made you sharp. Look at it this way: your ancestors had no safety net. No one was coming to save them. No food bank, no hotline, no second chances. They had to evolve. They had to rise, and that pressure made them lethal. Today you miss one deadline and a coworker reassures you it's okay to rest. You face one rejection and social media tells you you're enough as you are. You feel discomfort and the culture says self-care, but comfort dressed as kindness is still decay. And while it sounds loving, it's secretly telling your brain, stay weak, stay passive, stay small. That's how civilizations crumble. Not by war, but by luxury. Not by destruction, but by stagnation. You were born in the safest time in human history, but your brain still craves challenge. It wants to sweat, to strive, to win something real. Because without challenge, there's no change. And without discomfort, there's no growth. So ask yourself, are you resting or are you rotting? Because this soft world won't make you better. Only choosing discomfort will. Revival through resistance. Comfort is seductive. It wraps around you like a warm blanket, whispering, you've earned this, and maybe you have. But if you stay there too long, it turns into a cage. You don't feel the bars. You don't notice the chains, because everything looks fine. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not meant to live a fine life. You're meant to live a fierce one. And fierceness doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in resistance. The body doesn't build muscle from rest. It builds it from stress. The mind doesn't become sharp through ease. It becomes sharp through tension. And the spirit, it awakens through fire. If you want to reclaim the primal power buried under modern softness, you must voluntarily enter the furnace. That means choosing discomfort before it chooses you, waking up early, training when you don't want to, having hard conversations, facing rejection, doing the things that scare you on purpose. Because when you run toward challenge, you begin to remember who you are. You remember that you are not some fragile machine meant to be coddled. You are a descendant of warriors, hunters, creators, forged in ice and fire. And every time you seek comfort instead of growth, you insult that lineage. But every time you face resistance, with courage, even small resistance, you wake up that ancient flame inside you. Comfort is not. The goal, mastery is. And mastery doesn't come from doing what feels good. It comes from doing what's necessary, even when it hurts. Because in that pain there's freedom. There's clarity. There's the real you, rising through the ashes. The lie of the happy brain, everyone says it. I just want to be happy, but your brain doesn't care about your happiness. It cares about one thing, survival. The modern world sells you a lie, that you're supposed to feel good all the time, that if you're not happy, something is wrong. But for 99.9% of human history, happiness wasn't the goal. It was a brief signal that said, you're safe for now. Your brain evolved to detect threats, to sense danger, to keep you alive in a world that wanted you dead. It didn't reward comfort, it rewarded escape. Escape from predators, from starvation, from the cold. That brief flood of dopamine after a successful hunt, that was a tool, a short-term motivator, not a permanent emotional state. And that's where modern life goes wrong. We chase happiness like it's our birthright. We medicate, distract, consume, all trying to feel good. But the brain wasn't built to sustain pleasure. It was built to survive pain. That's why when you finally get what you want, the car, the raise, the vacation, it doesn't last. The brain resets. It goes back to scanning for threats, solving problems, seeking safety. It's not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. You see, happiness is not a destination. It's a fleeting signal. And when you try to make it last forever, you end up miserable. Because the more you chase constant pleasure, the more you confuse your ancient wiring. And instead of satisfaction, you feel emptiness. You weren't built for comfort. You weren't built to be constantly okay. You were built to struggle, to adapt, to grow under pressure. That is the architecture of your mind, not joy, resilience. The threat that lives inside you back in the wilderness, the threats were obvious. Wolves, starvation, enemy tribes. If it could kill you, your brain paid attention fast. But now there are no wolves, no stampedes, no famine. And yet, your anxiety is higher than ever. Why? Because the threat didn't disappear. It just moved inside. Your brain is still scanning, still searching for danger. But in the absence of real predators, it creates imaginary ones. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not enough? Your brain was wired to be paranoid because paranoia used to save lives. A caveman who thought the rustle in the bushes might be a tiger survived more often than the one who assumed it was the wind. But today, that same paranoia creates panic attacks instead of preparation. It leads to sleepless nights instead of sharp instincts. Because here's the truth, your brain is a survival machine. And if you don't give it real challenges to solve, it invents fake ones. It turns small issues into giant monsters. It turns doubt into fear. It turns discomfort into danger. And that's why you feel stuck. You're not broken, you're under-challenged. You were born to solve life or death problems, but you live in a world of trivial decisions. And the less you fight, the more you fear. The less you chase hard goals, the more your brain chases imaginary threats. You weren't built to avoid pressure. You were built to perform under it. So if you want peace, don't escape the struggle, enter it willingly. Give your brain something real to conquer, or it will start conquering you, rewiring the beast. You can't change your brain's wiring, but you can change what it's wired to do. That ancient survival engine in your head isn't your enemy. It is your greatest ally, but only if you stop feeding it junk. You see, your brain was built to hunt, build, solve, protect, endure. It was never meant to scroll all day. It was never designed to compare itself to filtered lives. It was never supposed to chase a life of endless comfort and call it success. The modern world has tricked you into thinking your emotions are facts. That fear means stop. That discomfort means danger. That anxiety means something's wrong. But in the wild, fear meant focus. Discomfort meant grow. Anxiety meant get ready. Your brain still knows how to operate that way. You've just forgotten how to listen. Every time you lean into fear instead of away from it, your brain adapts. Every time you endure stress with a purpose, your brain grows stronger. Every time you delay gratification, you reclaim control. That's how you rewire the beast, not by running from it, not by sedating it with pleasure, but by pointing it at a worthy battle. Give your mind a mountain to climb. Give it a mission so big, so real, so meaningful, that your fear becomes fuel, not friction. Because happiness was never the blueprint, purpose was. You don't need to feel good to do great things. You need to act, despite how you feel. And when you do, something strange happens. The anxiety fades, the noise quiets, the fog lifts, and in its place clarity, direction, fire. Not because you found happiness, but because you remembered you were built to survive. And survivors don't chase feelings, they chase meaning. The fire hasn't died, it's just buried. You were born into a world your ancestors couldn't imagine. Temperature-controlled homes, food at your fingertips, entertainment 24/7. It's paradise on the surface, but deep inside you, there's a part that's restless, a part that misses the fire, not the literal flame, but what it symbolized: survival, focus, discipline, urgency, instinct. That fire hasn't gone out. It's just been buried under comfort, distraction, and lies. The lie that you need to be happy all the time. The lie that struggle is bad. The lie that balance is the goal. Your ancestors didn't wake up asking, "Am I fulfilled?" They woke up ready to fight for what mattered. And that mindset, that primal edge, still lives inside you. It's not gone, it's dormant. But here's the truth: you can wake it up. You can reclaim your instincts. You can sharpen your edge, not by escaping modern life, but by using it as your battlefield. Because in this soft world, you don't need to go into the jungle to become dangerous. You just need to start doing the things no one wants to do. Wake up early, say no to comfort, do hard things on purpose. Choose boredom over distraction. Train your body and mind like survival depends on it. Because in a world designed to weaken you, every act of strength becomes a revolution. You don't need to go back in time. You just need to stop letting time make you soft. The edge isn't found, it's forged, and it's waiting inside you right now. Adapt like a predator, not a victim. Cavemen didn't complain about their environment. They adapted to it. They didn't wish for better conditions. They became better because of their conditions. That's the difference between predators and prey. Predators evolve. Prey waits. In today's world, you've been trained to wait. Wait for motivation. Wait for inspiration. Wait for the right time. That's prey behavior. And your ancient brain hates it. You were never meant to wait. You were meant to move, to respond, to attack the day with intensity and direction. The primal edge isn't about being aggressive. It's about being deliberate. It means you don't let the world shape you. You shape yourself, and you shape the world around you. Modern comfort tells you to adapt by shrinking. Shrink your goals, shrink your expectations. Shrink your energy so you can cope. But that's not adaptation, that's surrender. Cavemen didn't shrink when winter came. They built fire. They didn't quit when food was scarce. They hunted harder. You don't rise by lowering the bar. You rise by becoming the kind of person who thrives under pressure. So how do you do that today? You treat discomfort as a signal, not a stop sign. You train when you don't feel like it. You work when no one's watching. You keep your promises, especially the ones you make to yourself. That's how you rebuild trust with your brain. That's how you train it to stop running and start leading. You weren't born to react. You were born to dominate. And in a world where most people are waiting for permission, the one who moves first owns the future. Rituals over feelings. Mission over mood. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. If you only act when you feel like it, you will never become who you were meant to be. Your ancestors didn't wait for motivation. They had rituals, patterns, systems. Things they did, no matter how they felt. Because in the wild, feelings didn't matter, results did. And that's how you reclaim your primal edge. You stop making decisions based on emotion. You start building rituals based on mission. Wake up early, even when it's hard. Train, even when you're tired. Do the work, even when no one claps for it. That's discipline, that's power. That's how you rewire the soft mind into a dominant force. And that doesn't just change your habits, it changes your identity. Suddenly, you're not trying to be better. You are better. You're not chasing motivation, you've become your own engine. You don't need external pressure, you create internal urgency. Because that caveman inside you doesn't care how you feel. He cares if you showed up. He cares if you pushed through. He cares if you earned your evolution. In a soft world, consistency is rebellion. Focus is rare. Discipline is dangerous. And a man or woman who can master their instincts is unstoppable. Stoke it with routine. Guard it with purpose. So build the fire and let it burn so bright that even your ancestors would look down and say, that one remembers the caveman isn't dead. He's just been ignored. The world you live in is comfortable. But you weren't built for comfort. You were built for challenge, for pressure, for focus, for fire. And deep down, you know it. You feel it every time you wake up restless. Every time you scroll endlessly, but feel empty. Every time you look in the mirror and know you're capable of so much more. Not because you need to become someone new, but because you need to remember who you already are. You carry the same blood as the warriors who hunted giants, the same instincts as the humans who crossed mountains barefoot, the same drive as the men and women who shaped fire with their hands. But in this soft world, it's up to you to bring that edge back. Don't wait, don't hope, don't numb yourself into mediocrity. Act, build your rituals, conquer your distractions, choose discomfort, reclaim your dominance. This isn't about pretending to be primal. It's about becoming precise, focused, unshakable, awake. Because the modern world may be soft, but you don't have to be. You are the weapon, you are the discipline. You are the fire, and now that you know that, there are no more excuses. Your move. If this message lit something inside you, keep the momentum alive. Hit subscribe, join the tribe. Share this with someone else who's forgotten what they're made of. Then go build the fire, feed the beast, reclaim the edge. Because when your modern brain goes to war with your primal one, you already know who wins. Stay sharp, stay dangerous. We're just getting started.